Hey YouTube, how's it going? Chris here, and this is a new face.
Hello.
Tell them your name.
My name is Casey, and I'm a cosplayer.
Believe it or not, in case you couldn't tell by the awesome poster, she actually knows her comic book stuff. I promised you guys a second episode of Cos-playing Canada, and I am delivering.
And I want to apologize for it taking so long because I apparently am really crummy at keeping a schedule. So I apologize.
That's fair. That's fair. You'll pay for it later. Anyway, so it's Casey's first time here. She's already kind of seen the, it's pretty normal. Just like with JP, we're going to go over a couple basic questions, and then we're going to go over some of her cosplays and just have a general geeky time. It's all good. I already warned her I'm going to grill her on the war and how our efforts are going later, so very excited to hear her answers on that.
Ooh. War is bad.
Anyway, well, I guess first question off, what got you into cosplay?
Let's see, what got me into cosplay? Well, I guess from the time I was little, I was always really big into dressing up and playing pretend, which you could say about any small child, but the thing is, like, Halloween was probably one of my favorite holidays because I just loved the chance to get to dress up and wear the dress-up clothes outside of the house and not look crazy. I still question that, but so from the time I was little, I always wanted to dress up and wear dress-up clothes. And one of the earliest things I remember for Halloween is that my mom made me a costume, but it wasn't just any regular princess costume. It was a Princess Peach costume.
Nice.
And then the following year, I was asked if I wanted to be a princess again.
Okay.
And I stubbornly shouted at my mom, "I'm not a princess, I'm a ninja." Because that year I decided that I wanted to go as Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat.
That is
because in the past, my older brother had done the same thing, and I wanted to rewear his costume, but of course it didn't fit, so we put together my own ninja costume, but it was just annoying because every single house we went to, "Oh, look at the pretty princess. I'm not a princess, I'm a ninja." And so,
fighting against stereotypes.
Exactly. So it sort of goes all the way back to there, but then I probably didn't get really, really big into cosplay until I was in high school.
Right.
Because I went to a small high school, so I managed to make like amazing people and make an awesome group of friends, really nerdy but totally amazing friends.
Those are the best ones.
Exactly, right? Who sort of accepted me for the fact that I read comic books and I played a lot of video games and that I just had sort of an overall appreciation for geek culture.
That's good.
And in elementary school, I didn't quite have that, because in elementary school, you want to be like the coolest kid there, and so I sort of read comic books and was a nerd in secret. I was still a dork, but I didn't really let my nerd side show until high school when I met.
Closeting that stuff.
I was closeting it, and so I'm disappointed to have to admit that at one point I was ashamed, but now I'm full geek and I'm full nerd and I'm totally proud, and I work at a comic book store and I had everything's awesome, but I didn't get big into it until high school when I probably did what I'd consider my very first cosplay, which would have actually have been, it was for a party, but I went as Snow White from the Disney movie, and the challenge for it was we had to stay in character. So the entire night I had to walk around pretending to talk to the owner's dog and being very sweet and very poised and very adorable. But the bottom line is, no, I talk like a drunken sailor a good chunk of the time, and I love horror movies, and so even though I do love Disney, it holds a very special place in my heart.
Oh, me too.
That was probably one of the hardest. That's one of the hardest things I had to do, was try and be so ladylike and idealistic when really I'm sort of sitting here in a dress thinking, I wish I was wearing pants.
Yeah.
There's a draft. And so that was probably one of the first ones I ever did. And then after that, I sort of got more into the things that I liked, which was then the first time I did, for Halloween, I did Freddy Krueger, and I went all out with prosthetics and blood and makeup, and I just got so many compliments on, how real the gouges and the bruises looked that I'm just kind of like, this is my calling. I can do this and people will think I'm cool.
That was a deadly Wolverine costume.
Oh god, that was horrible.
Someone
I
mistook
redid
it.
the costume for Halloween this past year, and someone came into the store and asked me if I was Wolverine.
Because, you know, they look exactly
Oh,
the same.
Wolverine, you know, they're basically brothers,
Oh, yeah.
right? They're brothers.
Well, I guess Wolverine after a fire might look like Freddy Krueger.
Well, but he heals fast.
Exactly.
He heals those.
So you're partially healed.
I'm partially healed Wolverine who's missing claws on his one hand and wears gardening gloves.
You could be Mortal Kombat Freddy Krueger with the double claw.
I could be Mortal Kombat Freddy Krueger. I try not to go into those Mortal Kombat mashup games. I try to stay as far away from those as possible. Oh gosh.
Yeah, they're but no, that's awesome, because you actually answered another one of my questions, because I do know, and I mean, it's not with all of them, but I obviously there's a lot of ladies doing the cosplay too, and I've met a lot of them where they started getting into the cosplay first, and then kind of started getting into the nerd culture, whereas, you know, you're more nerd culture, and then you just decided to actually kind of let it out.
Well, yeah, and the thing with that is that was another thing that made me really embarrassed when I was younger, was that I was sort of born into the nerd culture.
Okay.
I grew up with two brothers, so I have a younger brother and an older brother. So I never got control of their TV remote. I never got to choose what movie we were going to watch. And frankly, I think part of me when I was younger didn't want to watch all the princess movies. You know, my mom would put The Little Mermaid on, and I'd start bawling 5 minutes into it because I was terrified of Ursula the Sea Witch, yet I'd happily sit in front of the TV screen and watch Terminator 2.
Well, who wouldn't? Except at the
And
end, you're allowed to cry.
At the end, you're allowed to cry with the...
That's the saddest part. Yeah, I've cried like a baby.
Oh, yeah.
Every time.
But so, you know, and then, so I was sort of born into it. You know, I watched, like I said, one of the first movies I ever remember seeing was Terminator 2,
Right.
which got me my nickname from my dad, the Caseinator.
Nice.
And then, like Jurassic Park, you know, Star Wars. We have so many copies of Star Wars in this house on DVD, light disc, VHS. We have four different VHS packs
Really?
of Star Wars, just
jeez.
tons of it. And then just, you know, all those great classic sci-fi and then horror films, and then Aliens. Like Aliens is
man.
one of my favorite movies of all time.
Hell yeah.
And then, you know, and then video games as well. Like I grew up with both. I was lucky to have both a Nintendo and a Sega. So, you know, I got to play both Mario and Sonic before Sonic went
So you were the
garbage.
negotiator when people were arguing about that stuff.
I was. And the thing is, I hate it when people ask me which console I prefer. Because, in all honesty, it's like I love PlayStation, but there's some games that I will only play on Xbox.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
You know, and same thing with Sega and Nintendo. Like, I love Mario 64, I love Kirby 64, and I love 007, GoldenEye, right? It's like those are classic games, but at the same time, I love, you know, Sonic and Knuckles, and I had the DuckTales game for N64, which some of those are for Sega, and some of those Sega games are crazy hard.
Oh, yeah.
So at the end of the day, I was born into it. It wasn't something that I adopted,
Okay.
but, you know, being a girl when I was younger was really tough because, like, you're not supposed to like that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was kind of caught between having to hold it in until I got to high school, where I met a bunch of people, guys and girls, who liked all the same stuff, and I felt like accepted. So I have an awesome group of friends to actually thank for getting me into cosplay.
Oh, that's deadly. No, yeah, because I never really think about it that way, because obviously, I mean, there are kind of stereotypes with that. I mean, I'm a guy, so I'm just like, I have to play video games and stuff. I mean, I love them, don't get me wrong, but it's just kind of how you do it. No, that's very interesting. You're talking about Star Wars very passionately, I noticed. Because normally what I ask is, you know, like, what's your favorite aspect of geek culture? You know, is it like a certain universe that, you know, you hold dearest to your heart?
I'd have see, and that's tough because when it comes to geek culture, I'm a pop culture person.
Right.
I'm in every aspect of it. I mean, like I said, like you said as well and pointed out, I have a special spot in my heart for Star Wars. I still remember getting into a fight with my brothers for calling me a scruffy-looking Nerf herder, and then having to go sit in the corner for hitting one of them. And so it's not, but then also just like I said, the Alien movies, I'm a huge Back to the Future fan.
Oh, yeah.
And then with horror films, you know, I love, you know, the old horror, you know, original Dracula, Frankenstein, Swamp Thing. But I guess one yeah, it's hard for me to pinpoint an area of geek culture that I like the best because
Okay, that's fair.
I dabble in a little bit of everything. I mean, I guess I'd probably have to say comic books would be my favorite.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is funny because I still have yet to work on a specific comic book themed cosplay. It's hard to get the tights are hard.
I know.
You know, it's kind of like, and for girls, when it comes to some of those costumes, yeah, you gotta look a certain way to pull them off.
You get male writers and artists.
Oh,
and,
you get them all together in a room, and it's like, give me an idea, boobs. We're running with it.
And give me an hourglass. Like it needs to look more like it would never exist in reality.
Make it seem that she was wearing a corset so tight that she literally would suffocate.
Got an idea. Tape girl, she wears tape. That's all she does.
There you go. There you go. You just
I just came up with
if this video goes on YouTube, when the video's on YouTube,
if I see a tape girl, royalties.
You're gonna put TM, tape
TM.
girl, TM, or copyright. So for geek culture, I'd say that I'd have to pinpoint comic books. You know, and some of the first things I ever read for those would include Spider-Man: Ultimate Carnage.
Nice.
Yes,
nice.
That was one of the first ones I ever read, and then immediately from
Maximum
Carnage,
That's
not
the one.
Ultimate. Yeah, Maximum Carnage. I messed up on the title
Okay,
there.
it's alright.
And then immediately I went from there to different Batman and Watchmen, which is probably by far one of my favorite comic books of all time.
If you haven't read it, read it.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. It's amazing.
We did a whole review of the whole prequel comics.
Yeah. I actually didn't mind some of them. I quite liked Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan. I was in it after the first issue was kind of.
Yeah, the first issue was a little weird, but then after that, I really quite liked what they did with Dr. Manhattan and the comedian.
Yeah.
And Rorschach.
Oh, well, I mean, you have the same team who wrote Joker. That's my favorite.
Exactly right. You know, the anti-hero sort of character.
Oh, you gotta love it.
So comic books and anything Batman. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Batman universe. How can you not be? He's Batman.
Exactly, he's the goddamn Batman.
He's Batman, and it's like who would win in a fight? Superman, Batman. Batman. Why? Because he's Batman.
Because he's Batman. He'd have kryptonite and beat the crap out of him.
Exactly right. Superman wouldn't see it coming with his X-ray vision, which would technically give everybody cancer.
Yeah, well, I mean,
realistically, but
I'm not gonna
suspended disbelief.
I'm not going to get into the realities of comic books. There's a talking raccoon in the Marvel universe.
Oh.
I'm looking forward to that.
That movie will be good. I'm excited to see.
Same guy who did Super. I'm pumped. I loved Super.
Was it? Who's playing? It's
Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper. I'm excited to see Bradley Cooper as a talking raccoon.
Yeah.
He is literally playing a furry.
Yeah. Oh.
He's literally playing a furry.
This is gonna launch off a whole new furry.
Oh yeah.
But I do know one question. Me and JP kind of glazed over because we don't have a lot of it. But as a woman, how do you feel about generally the interpretation of them in comics? Yes, it's a normal question that gets asked to every girl who enjoys comics.
This is actually, and I actually get asked this at work a fair bit actually as well about women in comics. We have people coming in looking for comic books for their little girls, and right now at this point, the most thing I can really recommend to them is anything Adventure Time.
I was about to say Marceline.
Marceline and the Scream Queens, right? So it's kind of like, yeah, they're good there, but a lot of the little girls kind of think that they should be allowed to read Wonder Woman, or Miss Marvel and things like that. But the thing is, you look at the rating on some of these comics, and I personally working there, although I do want to make a sale, I don't want to send a parent home with a comic book that's going to be inappropriate for their little girl. And we do have parents coming in and sort of complaining or just venting to us about how there's no respectful female superheroes.
It's true.
I'm thinking that probably refers a lot, not just to behavior, but to clothing choice.
Yeah, generally.
But
does not provide a lot of armor.
Oh God, no. No, and it seems that as you get farther up on the power scale for armor, there seems to be less and less and less.
Yeah, that's generally the way she goes.
But I'd have to say, in terms of women in comic books, I've always been a huge Catwoman fan. Catwoman has always been my favorite because she's sort of this, she's this strong female character who is just really cool in general. I mean, she's a thief, and although you don't want to advocate stealing, there's always some other type of ulterior motives, and I feel like at the end of the day, she actually has a pretty good heart.
Okay, yeah.
But then what they've recently done with the new DC 52, or should I call it the DC 41?
Yeah. Is it down to that? I thought it got even lighter.
I think it might be down to 40.
'Cause I know they got rid of
All I know
Nightwing
is
and
that-
Suicide Squad.
All I know is they're making another Aquaman comic.
I heard that one wasn't bad.
I actually never got into it, but I heard it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see how
It's
that goes.
Aquaman. You gotta go in like I don't know.
You gotta go in, you know.
Sorry to all you
unsure.
Aquaman lovers out there.
But no, I'd have to say what I'm most disappointed of right now is, you know, what they've sort of done with Catwoman. You know, they've
with the first comic right off the bat.
With the first comic right off the bat, this whole idea that, you know, she needs Batman
Yeah.
in more ways than one, which is not very respectful.
No.
And then what I think the thing that bothers me the most, and this might actually irritate some people, is the whole Superman Wonder Woman relation. I cannot stand this idea, because here's Wonder Woman, a character that's really strong. She's an Amazon, you know, she's empowering, and she's all about women's rights and women to be, you know, just as good as men, if not better. And yet here she is dating Superman, and Superman goes missing, and she cries about it. She falls to her knees and she freaks out, and it's, oh my God, where is Superman? I've lost him. And, you know, instead of, you know, doing something actually serious about it, she just sort of she cries about it. And I feel like it's really, I don't know if they're trying to maybe make her seem more human.
Yeah, maybe.
But to me, it comes off as that she's weak.
Well, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of, because they did the same thing in, what's the Frank Miller one? The Dark Knight Strikes Back.
Yeah.
I was not a big fan of that whole thing.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to touch that. I don't even want to go there.
I don't like.
I generally really love Frank Miller stuff.
Yeah, me too. But I'll admit, The Dark Knight Strikes Back was pretty. I'd say it was terrible. I didn't like it at all.
There was parts of it that were good.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to piss too many people off on the internet.
Are you kidding? That's what feeds views. Controversy.
Well, I should bring it to the store then on the days when we have to break the stuff that comes to us broken and break it even further.
All right, send it back.
To send it back.
Yeah.
So, that wasn't good. I had to smash up an Enterprise the other day. That wasn't good.
Did you cry while you did?
Since I'm more of a Star Wars person, I think I was a bit stronger to not cry about breaking this beautiful toy, but you feel hurt inside.
There's a party that doesn't want to break that stuff.
Yeah, there's a part of me that's kind of like, it's perfect, I don't want to break it, I could fix it, maybe not. But no, so I'd have to say in terms of women in comic books, as much as they're trying to sort of make women look sort of stronger and encourage and having more female characters,
Well,
like with the new
to-
Miss Marvel. At the same time,
more of that.
what they need a woman writing a female character.
They do.
They do, right? And you know, right now I think a lot of the female characters that are out there are really based off of what men think women would behave like.
Yeah.
You know, in which sometimes, you know, guys write comic books about female characters and they come out just fine, and the character is strong, and you know, all that stuff that you would idealize for not necessarily a feminist but a strong woman.
Yeah, exactly.
But then sometimes it just comes up completely wonky and bizarre.
Well, yeah, because when you get guys trying to write a strong woman, they come off as just, you know, basically screw men. That sort of
Complete, like 100% feminist, you know.
Like when I think of my favorite interpretation of because you like Catwoman quite a bit, I like Batwoman.
Yes.
She's a very good one as far as like, I mean,
well,
of course I'm going on the other side of the spectrum because she is a lesbian, but I mean, she's
I think that's a really bold move, right?
Yeah,
for the character,
exactly.
right? And I mean, like, even if I go back into the Batman universe, I'd say like my favorite Batgirl would probably be Cassandra Cain.
Right. Yeah.
Like, well, for one thing, the costume I thought was fantastic, so cool.
Yeah, with the mouth.
With the mouth. But like, yeah, there's another female character in the Batman universe that is really, again, strong and doesn't take any guff from anybody.
Which is exactly what we need at the end.
Yeah,
of the day.
exactly.
So I think we got time for one more question. Yes, we do. And it's the same one that I asked JP last too for his interview, which was, you know, obviously, as you said, growing up, it was not really allowed or really, you know, smiled upon when you were a nerd or anything like that. But what do you think about the fact that, you know, geek culture is getting bigger and like more popular? I mean, at the same time, like I know myself personally, I'm happy to see more people embracing it. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like there's a lot of, you know, people jumping on the
bandwagon.
Yeah. Exactly.
The band Batmobile.
Like they didn't go through all the years to earn their geek badge.
No, I mean, and you know, that's really interesting because I am for one, am someone that I was so lucky when I was in high school to meet a group of people that were really, you know, open and accepting of me for liking comic books, for liking movies, and for, you know, sort of accepting that maybe there's some things that I prefer that are more masculine than things versus things that are feminine. Like, you know, I'd rather go eat lunch with all my guy friends who are talking about, you know, whatever new game titles coming out for, you know, the launch of a new system versus, you know, the preppy girls that were over there.
Makeup and boys.
Makeup and boys and nail polish and rainbows and stickers. You know, and frankly, I never fit in with that group, and I don't think that group in high school really liked me because I tried to be nice to everybody because there's no point in making enemies, but, you know, some of those groups aren't too happy about it. But I know I was lucky to be accepted, you know, with open arms into sort of when I came out of the closet about my geekiness. But I also feel like I think it's great to see more people getting into it. It's really great to see things like, you know, Star Wars has always been pretty mainstream.
Right.
You know, just pop culture and film as well.
Yeah.
But things like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I love Doctor Who, and it's all of a sudden like I go to work and there's little tiny kids coming in and they're telling me all about the Doctor Who episodes and like, oh, look at the Cyberman and I want the sonic screwdriver. And, you know, Mom is standing there like, I don't know where they learned these words. I don't know what they're talking about. So it's sort of getting younger and younger, which I think is really cool. But then with the whole bandwagon thing, what really does bother me is, especially as a nerdy girl, you know, I know who I am, I know what I like, and I know which things, you know, make me me. But I know some people that come up to me at the store and they pretend to talk to me like they know what they're talking about, and they start saying things that are completely wrong, and like I don't want to call them out on being like, no, you are a faker, you must leave. Like, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like, it does bother me when there's sort of people, there's some girls that come into our store and they sort of look around and they sort of act like they know the little tidbits. But then at the end of the day, it's sort of like you look at how they act and you kind of realize, like, no, I appreciate you. Maybe you're honestly trying to get interested in this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, girls, it's not a good idea to try and use nerd culture as a way to pick up boys.
No.
I'm saying this immediately. If you try to act like you know something that you don't, the true geeky guys will call you out on it. They will come after you, and they will never talk to you again. So you might actually do yourself more harm than good. And then for the overall geek culture, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think the bottom line is I'd say it's pretty cool. I think it's really awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like the long-term, hardcore geeks who have been out and proud about being nerdy and geeky their entire lives are a little hostile towards newcomers.
Yeah, I can see that. You see that a lot at the cons, actually.
You know, and that's like
Don't even get me started on when you have like a hot girl in cosplay and how they act towards that. That's a whole other thing.
show, and as a girl, just in general, you show up wearing a costume, and you immediately have guys coming up to you being like, you don't really know what that is. You don't know who the character is. What issue of this comic book did she do this? Oh, that never really happened. I was lying to you. And even when I started working at the comic book store, I had people coming in and grilling me with questions to make sure that I knew things. And when it comes to comic books, I'm pretty good, but we sell a lot of board games too. And so a lot of the board games, I know the basics of how to play them. I can give you a description about what the game is about, but I can't tell you if I played it or not.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's sort of tough to have to deal with that hostility. And you, in a way, you kind of feel like you need to earn your way in.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, that's the thing is we get a bunch of new people and it almost seems like then the hardcores are like scaring them off with all that.
Yeah,
kind
sort of
thing.
saying like, oh, you're just in this because you don't really get it. You're just in this.
You just like wearing pretty outfits and attention.
Right. Yeah, you just like the attention, and so it is tough. It is tough.
It's a problem.
It's a problem. Yeah, like I said, some people in geek culture are very hostile towards newcomers, which I think is unfair. I think everyone deserves a chance, but at the same time, I do have a pet peeve when people do come into the store and they pick up all the comic books and they're just picking them up randomly.
Like not really.
And then they bring them to the counter and they ask you, oh, is this any good? And it's like, well, it's part of a storyline. Well, how far back do I need to go to understand it? Like 27 comics, you picked up number 28.
I'm a tradesman. I'm not gonna lie. It's
You
just
know,
easier that
yeah,
way.
trades make life a lot easier, and I think in some ways it's cheaper.
Oh yeah, totally.
See, I'm a weekly comic book getter, so I get mine every Wednesday is new comic book day.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, I get mine every Wednesday, but there's some storylines that I'm considering switching to trades, but so I'm on the fence about it. I'd say that I'm happy to see it becoming more openly accepted.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it kind of disappoints me to see some people be so hostile towards newcomer, and it is somewhat irritating when you see someone that's sort of like pretending they know everything about something when really at the end of the day they know nothing.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
It's tough.
Tough. It's a mixed bag. Yeah.
But that was a very good answer. Thank you.
Sorry, I like to talk, so I apologize.
It's fine. So that's the Q&A thing over. I'm not going to ask her about the war. That was a joke. Anyway, we got some costumes on display here, so let's take a look.
Sounds good to me.
That's a goddamn Wookiee. She's got a whole Chewbacca in the corner, man. I'm not even a big Star Wars fan, but that's cool. Oh, and there's Casey.
Hi.
And it's a table of props.
Woo!
We love props.
Props are awesome.
Gotta give props to you.
So are Wookiees. Wookiees are awesome as well. But he's in the corner because
Yeah. Timeout?
yeah.
Bad Wookiee.
He tore the engine out of the car, so.
Oh, bad Wookiee. Bad Wookiee.
But yeah, so I wasn't able to get a whole bunch of my costumes together because a lot of my costumes, I recycle the pieces from them for other things. And frankly, I am not the greatest sewer, but I do like to do a lot of fabrication work and spray painting and then special effects makeup stuff. So what I have here is basically some of the stuff that I've worked on in the past and that I'm really proud of. So one of the first things I have here is I have my parts of my Marty McFly costume from the Back to the Future movie.
Nice.
So I have my life vest.
Life preserver.
My life preserver, and then his
the actual hat.
The actual hat from the second film. That if I get bored, I can make rap music on it.
Wasn't the second movie like 5 years ago in our time?
Something like that. Something crazy like that. I don't know. We're all supposed to be wearing spiked helmets this coming year, I guess. If you go by that. So.
I'm still pissed I don't have my Jetsons car. That's bullshit.
Where's my jetpack?
Even a jetpack would be nice.
I want a jetpack. So I have this stuff here for like the clothing, and then I wore this costume for Halloween last year, and I realized I was missing something, and it was a hoverboard. So at 8 o'clock at night, I went around my house and I gathered an old skateboard that didn't have trucks or wheels on it anymore, and then I just cut out construction paper and some purple duct tape,
nice.
and then some Mattel logos, and then just spray painted the body pink, and basically, I wish I could say I glued it on, but this is all just like saran taped on. I just taped the entire skateboard, but I mean it worked, and I mean I know I got complaints about that. This design is on the wrong side of the skateboard, and I understand.
You're hardcore nerds.
Oh yeah, I got called on it a little bit, but not harassed too bad about it. I think people were just impressed that I made this in like under 45 minutes.
When you're under the gun.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I'm actually quite proud of my little skateboard. It's fun to carry around.
Oh yeah.
And then all I have left are just a few extra pieces from some costumes that I've done in the past, and one that I'm working on for the future. And so, a couple years ago when I was in high school, I went as Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. We had a basketball tournament, and the theme was video games.
Nice.
So I don't have the chest piece and the belt and stuff anymore, but there used to be wrist gauntlets.
Nice.
And I had leg covers that went with this, and so.
Oh yeah.
It's just some foam that I spray painted, and so it was actually originally blue, and so I was actually saving it so I could do Sub-Zero, but someone already did Sub-Zero for this basketball tournament, so I'm like, fine, I'll just go with Scorpion. He's way better.
That's true.
And then for my most recent costume that I've done, I have my giant foam mallet, where I actually formally met Chris.
Yeah, that's the first time
I actually formally met
We'd seen each other, but I was a little jokered up at the time.
And I actually went as Ramona Flowers from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. So I had, at the time, for the costume, this is at the Saskatoon Entertainment Expo.
Yeah, the very first one there.
The very first one. It was awesome. And so I had blue hair, and I had my blue hoodie, and my pink shorts, and my giant boots and everything, and my giant hammer, which people had fun. I think there's people there that had more fun holding it than I did. So, I mean, when you're carrying this around every day, you know, you don't want to turn around and just whack someone in the face.
I do. That's why I'm not allowed at the cons.
That's why you're not allowed to have the crowbar at the cons anymore.
Hey, I still sneak that in.
Put it in your sleeve. But, so frankly, when people came and would ask to hold it, I was like, go nuts. And then the last thing that I have to share is actually something that I haven't gotten to take out yet, but I'm really looking forward to doing, and that is my chainsaw. My pink chainsaw with a little blue heart. It still needs a little more detail with I want to put some rainbow unicorn stickers on it and stuff. But in the future, I'm going to be using this for my I guess not my first video game cosplay, but the first one that I've done in a long time. And I'm hoping to be doing Juliet Starling from Lollipop Chainsaw. And so now this year is I'm probably going to get called out on this, but I'm actually going to be doing one of two possible downloadable content outfits.
Yeah, good, because everyone already does the
Everyone
cheerleader
always does the cheerleading outfit or one of her other outfits, which I'm not willing to wear.
I think I saw the Ash Williams one somewhere. That was cool.
That's what I'm thinking of doing, is either doing the Ash one or she has a 1950s pinup girl one.
Right.
Which is the one that I'd really like to do, and I actually found a place that sells that kind of the cherry printed black bathing suit.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna look into that and hopefully get that done. And then I don't have the pieces here with me, but I'm working on a female version of the comedian from Watchmen. And then a dress for Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service. So
nice.
I don't
you got
have
a lot going on
out right now, but I have a lot on my plate to try and figure out and work through.
And of course, it is the beginning of the new year. Or do you have like an idea of your con schedule for the year? Or?
For the new year, it's tough because I have a lot of stuff going on with family and things, but I'm hoping that I'm not able to make it to Calgary this year. Maybe next year I'm hoping to do Calgary. And then probably look into the future into doing, Toronto or Edmonton and Winnipeg, for the next little bit. And then with the Regina, the first ever Regina Fan Expo.
Yeah, first
I'm
one.
hoping to have my Jubilee costume ready by then. I have so much going on. The Jubilee costume, and then just, whatever I decide to do next. I'm so bad, I jump back and forth between projects.
That's okay. I mean, I gotta book my holidays right at the beginning of the year, so I gotta know which ones I'm going to.
Which ones you're gonna go to.
So no, that's great. No, awesome. Thank you very much for going over some pretty basic questions. I'm not gonna lie. I don't ask very grilling questions.
It's fun getting to be asked those questions again, to sort of talk about your nerd culture and how you got into it. It's not something you think about every day, so it's fun to talk about. So thanks for having me.
Hey. Anytime, like I said, it's always good to get the other perspective, because I'm not gonna lie, it's predominantly a very male kind of culture. So I like it's you're like a unicorn. Very rare to meet.
So, I'm a unicorn.
Someone used that on me recently, and I'm like, I'm gonna use that.
I've heard that you're a snowflake.
I'm a snowflake.
You're a snowflake. You're a unique individual, because every snowflake is different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like unicorn better. I like unicorn better.
Who doesn't like unicorns? It's a horse with a sword on its head.
Exactly. Although I probably would have to choose narwhal over a unicorn, just because there's definitive proof of the existence of narwhals.
That is very true. But thank you very much, Casey, for coming on and geeking out for a bit.
Again, thanks for having me. It was awesome.
Trouble. And if you guys watching had a good time, don't forget to hit that like, comment, or subscribe button. Definitely comment about some of the cosplays you have coming up. If I have any lady viewers, I think I have a couple. But what got you guys into comics?
There. We exist.
It's true. I got definitive proof now.
We exist.
Photographic evidence. But yeah, just I love to read the comments, so definitely leave some of that. And we always have a lot of projects coming up, so I'm sure you'll see Casey again.
I'd like to be back. So
definitely.
Awesome.
Well, I guess wave bye-bye to YouTube.
Bye-bye, YouTube.
Stay classy.